A study from Harvard tracked people for over 75 years, searching for the real secret behind a successful and fulfilling life. They discovered it wasn't wealth, fame, or even power. It was the daily choices of integrity, resilience, and purpose that shaped the destiny of ordinary men and women into extraordinary stories. Think about that. Decades of research revealing what many ignore in a single day. The truth is, greatness isn't hidden in some distant future. It is being written right now, in the way you think, the way you act, and the values you. Integrity is a word people often hear but rarely stop to taste its meaning. It sounds like an old-fashioned virtue, something we read about in books, but in truth, it is the very foundation of a life that wins. To choose integrity over popularity is not just to make a moral decision, it is to make a life decision. It is saying that your worth will not be measured by the claps of strangers or the fleeting noise of approval, but by the quiet strength of your own soul. Popularity shines bright for a moment, but like a sparkler in the dark, it burns out quickly, leaving you standing alone in the smoke. Integrity is the flame that never dies because it is fed by the oil of truth and the strength of conscience. There comes a time in every life when the choice is clear. Do you take the road that wins you applause or the one that keeps you honest? It can happen in school when the temptation to cheat whispers that everyone else is doing it. It can happen at work when bending the truth might win you a promotion. It can happen in friendships when going along with the crowd saves you from being left out. Each time, there is a small battle, and in those moments you are not just deciding about that one choice, you are shaping the kind of person you will become. C.S. Lewis once wrote that integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. That is not just a quote for posters, it is a mirror for the soul. Because when the world grows quiet, when you are lying in bed at night, and there are no voices left to impress, the only voice left is the one inside you. If that voice whispers peace, you are rich. If it whispers shame, no amount of popularity can fill the emptiness. Integrity is not about being perfect. Every human being stumbles. Every human being makes mistakes, but the difference lies in whether we are willing to stand up, confess the truth, and walk forward with honesty, or whether we choose to bury our conscience under layers of excuses. When we choose honesty, we may lose temporary approval, but we gain something that cannot be purchased or faked: self-respect. Psychologists explain that living out of alignment with your values creates inner conflict, a dissonance in the brain that eats away at mental health. People who live one way in public and another in private carry a weight that exhausts them. On the other hand, people who live with integrity experience what scientists call cognitive harmony, where thoughts, actions, and beliefs align. This harmony produces peace, clarity, and a quiet strength that makes life more bearable even in its storms. There is a strange truth about popularity. The more you chase it, the more it slips through your fingers. Those who live to be liked by everyone usually end up loved by no one deeply. They become mirrors reflecting whatever the crowd wants to see, and in doing so, they forget the shape of their own soul. Integrity does not chase approval, but it gains respect that lasts longer than applause. A person who stands by their principles may not win the biggest crowd, but they will attract people who trust them, people who stand beside them when life grows difficult. Popularity can get you into the room, but only integrity keeps you standing when the lights go out. Think of history. The names we remember as heroes are not those who followed the crowd, but those who stood against it. Martin Luther King Jr. did not become a leader because he said what was popular in his time. He became one because he said what was true, even when the cost was high. Rosa Parks did not spark a movement by doing what everyone expected. She did it by refusing to give up her seat, a simple act of integrity in a world demanding she compromise. Every advancement in human dignity has been born from people choosing to be honest, to be faithful, to be true, rather than chasing the approval of the masses. Even in personal life, think of the people you admire most deeply. They are not the ones who said what you wanted to hear, but the ones who stood for what they believed in, even if it was uncomfortable. Integrity gives birth to trust. Without trust, no relationship can survive, not marriages, not friendships, not businesses. A man may gain followers by charm, but he keeps them only through trust. A woman may win applause through talent, but she earns lasting respect through honesty. Children grow into strong adults when they see integrity lived before them. Communities thrive when leaders stand for truth, even at personal cost. A country grows healthy when integrity becomes its foundation. Strip away trust, and everything crumbles. Popularity is cheap. Trust is priceless. There is also a spiritual dimension. Across all faiths and philosophies, integrity stands as a pillar of wisdom. The sacred texts of the world call us to live as people of truth, to let our yes mean yes and our no mean no, to walk uprightly when no eyes are watching. Integrity is not just about morality, it is about alignment with the divine order. A person without integrity can wear masks in front of people, but they cannot hide from God, from conscience, or from the echo of eternity. Faith tells us that a life lived with integrity may not win the whole world, but it gains a crown that the world cannot take away. In practical life, integrity becomes a compass. When decisions are hard, when the path is unclear, integrity simplifies the chaos. The question is no longer, what will they think of me? The question becomes, what is right? That shift of perspective saves you from endless anxiety. When you build your decisions on popularity, your life becomes a game of performance, a stage where you are constantly changing costumes to please the crowd. When you build your life on integrity, you stand on solid ground. You may lose some fans, but you gain peace, and peace is more valuable than applause. It is not easy to live this way. The world often rewards the clever lie more than the simple truth. In workplaces, people who flatter the boss climb faster than those who speak honestly. In politics, those who promise everything are cheered louder than those who speak with restraint. On social media, the dramatic story often gets more views than the honest one. But deep inside, people know the difference. Popularity fools the crowd for a moment, but integrity wins the heart forever. Those who stand firm are remembered long after the clapping stops. Think of the teenager in school who refuses to join in bullying someone just to fit in. Think of the employee who tells the truth even when it costs a promotion. Think of the parent who teaches their child not just by words, but by living with honesty day after day. These are victories unseen by the masses, but they build legacies. A boy may forget the cool classmate's name, but he will remember for life the one who stood up for him. A company may pass over the honest worker for a time, but when crisis comes, they return to the one they can trust. A child may not thank the parent who lived truth daily, but when they grow old, they carry that standard like a light inside them. Science has shown that integrity is linked with health. People who live with honesty often experience less stress because they are not juggling lies or hiding double lives. The brain does not need to create false stories, so mental clarity increases. Stress hormones decrease when a person lives transparently, while deception raises cortisol levels, straining the heart and body. Honesty may cost comfort in the moment, but it rewards the body with health in the long run. Living with integrity is not only a spiritual and moral act, it is a physiological blessing. There is fear in walking this path. To stand alone, to risk rejection, to choose the harder road is frightening. No one denies it. But fear is not the enemy, it is the signal that you are doing something brave. Greatness always feels lonely at first. The crowd will mock, the world may resist, but truth has a strange power. It echoes. What looks like isolation today becomes inspiration tomorrow. Your honesty may lose you the crowd, but it will light a torch for someone else struggling in the dark. Integrity is contagious. When one person chooses it, it gives courage to another. A generation can be healed by the bravery of one soul who refuses to bow. If you want to win in life, choose integrity over popularity. The world will try to seduce you with applause, with quick fame, with easy approval. But when you walk into a room with integrity, even those who dislike you must respect you. And when your days are done, and no one remembers the noise of the crowd, the legacy of your honesty will live on in the hearts you touched, the trust you built, and the soul you guarded. Integrity is the slow, quiet path. It is not loud. It does not shine as bright as popularity in the beginning, but it endures. And in the end, endurance is what wins. The person who stands true stands strong, even when the storm has passed and the applause has faded. Success has become one of the most used words of our time, a dream painted in shining colors that every heart longs for. People talk about achieving it, chasing it, building it, and sometimes losing it. But hidden beneath the surface of this word is a truth that too many ignore. Success is never built outside first, it is built inside. To chase success without training the mind is like trying to build a skyscraper on sinking sand. The structure may rise quickly, but it will fall just as fast. If you want to win in life, if you want victories that last, then before you chase the rewards, the recognition, or the applause, you must train the mind that will carry you through every storm. The mind is not just a part of who you are. It is the command center. It is the soil where every seed of thought, habit, and action takes root. If the soil is poisoned, the seed will not flourish. If the soil is strong, even the smallest seed will grow into something extraordinary. Neuroscience has shown us that the brain is constantly rewiring itself, shaping new pathways, building habits, and strengthening the thoughts we feed it. This means that every day, whether you notice it or not, you are training your mind. The question is not whether your mind is being trained. The real question is, trained by what? For too many, the mind is trained by fear. From the moment they wake up, they scroll through negative news, compare their lives on social media, and soak in messages that whisper, "You are not enough." The brain responds like a sponge, absorbing these thoughts until they become beliefs. Over time, the person stops chasing dreams because their mind has already convinced them it's impossible. It's not that they lack ability, but that they surrendered the battle of the mind long before life tested them. There are also those who let their minds be trained by distractions. Hours lost to entertainment, gossip, meaningless arguments, and temporary pleasures may not seem destructive in the moment, but they slowly dull the sharpness of the mind. When the brain is trained in distraction, focus becomes a stranger. When opportunity comes knocking, the person is too scattered to recognize it, too unprepared to seize it. On the other hand, the few who discipline their minds rise above. They feed their brain with knowledge, with faith, with hope, with challenge. They understand that every thought is a soldier, either fighting for their destiny or against it. When their mind says, "You cannot," they train it to respond, "Why not?" When their mind whispers, "You are weak," they train it to answer, "Strength grows with use." These people may not have the easiest start, but they build the strongest finish. C.S. Lewis once said that you are never too old to set another goal or dream another dream. That statement alone shows the power of the mind, because as long as your thinking is alive, your story is not over. Age, background, failures, and even losses cannot stop a mind that is trained to see possibility. Imagine a person of 70 deciding to learn a new skill, to mentor a younger generation, to write a book, or to start a business. The world might laugh, saying the time has passed, but neuroscience proves the brain continues to grow, continues to create, continues to rewire itself as long as we use it. A trained mind never dies young, because it continues to produce fruit even when the body grows old. There's also a spiritual weight in this. Every sacred text teaches us to guard our minds, to think on what is pure, noble, and right, to renew our thoughts daily. This is not just poetry, it is divine psychology. What you meditate on becomes the map of your life. If your thoughts are consumed with bitterness, life will seem like a battlefield where everyone is against you. If your thoughts are full of gratitude, life will feel like a gift even in its darkest valleys. The mind is not just a mirror reflecting reality, it is a lens shaping how we see reality. A person with a trained mind can walk through pain and still see purpose. A person with an untrained mind can walk through blessing and still feel empty. Psychologists talk about the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. Those with a fixed mindset believe their intelligence, talent, and abilities are set in stone. They see failure as proof they are not capable. Those with a growth mindset believe the mind is a muscle that can grow with effort. They see failure not as a dead end, but as training. Every time they fall, they learn. Every time they are challenged, they grow. Training your mind means choosing the growth mindset daily. It means telling yourself that every obstacle is a gym for your soul. Every setback is a teacher. Every success is not the end, but a signpost to keep going. The danger comes when success is chased without this mental training. We see it in celebrities who rise fast but collapse under pressure, in leaders who gain power but cannot handle it, in students who score high but crumble when real life begins. Without a trained mind, success becomes poison. It overwhelms, confuses, and destroys. But with a trained mind, success becomes stewardship. It is not just something you hold, it is something you use wisely. You do not lose yourself in the applause because your identity is rooted deeper than the cheers. You do not break under criticism because your strength does not depend on their opinion. Think about athletes. The difference between champions and others is not always physical strength, it is mental discipline. Olympic competitors spend as much time training their minds as they do their bodies. Visualization, focus, resilience under pressure, the ability to silence fear and step forward, all of this is mental training. Life is the same. Every day is a field where you are asked to perform, and the strength of your mind decides whether you rise or break. For the young person listening, training your mind now is building a foundation for decades to come. The habits of focus, reading, discipline, gratitude, and courage you build in youth will carry you further than talent alone ever could. For the adult in midlife, training your mind means refusing to let disappointment harden you. It means rewiring your brain to see new beginnings instead of dead ends. For the elder in the golden years, training your mind means staying engaged, staying alive in spirit, refusing to let the world tell you your story is finished. A sharp mind at 70 can inspire thousands at 17. Science calls this neuroplasticity, the ability of the brain to form new connections at any age. That means the excuse of "this is just how I am" is a lie. You can learn new skills. You can reshape your thinking. You can transform habits. It takes discipline, but discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you are meant to be. Training the mind is not about perfection, it is about persistence. Every day you choose what to feed your thoughts, and what you feed will grow. There's also the truth that untrained minds are easy to manipulate. Society, advertising, and even peers can control those who do not control their own thinking. The world will tell you what to buy, how to live, what to fear, who to hate. But when your mind is trained, you see through the noise. You make choices out of wisdom, not pressure. You lead your own life instead of letting others lead it for you. Freedom is not just about doing what you want, it is about thinking clearly enough to know what is right. To train the mind is also to guard it against poison. Gossip, negativity, self-pity, and constant complaint are toxins. They may feel small, but like drops of acid, they eat away at strength. Replacing them with hope, forgiveness, gratitude, and courage is not naive, it is powerful. It is training your brain to light candles instead of cursing the dark. It is rewiring your soul to see possibility where others see despair. This is why meditation, prayer, journaling, and reflection have survived across centuries. They are the ancient ways of training the mind. If you want to win in life, remember this truth. Success is not first a paycheck, a title, or a trophy. Success is the ability to wake up with peace, to face challenges with courage, to fall and rise again with wisdom. That kind of success begins in the hidden place of thought. Train your mind, and success will not be something you chase. It will be something you attract. Resilience is a word that carries the weight of survival, growth, and transformation all at once. To speak of resilience is to speak of what keeps a human heart beating even after it has been broken, what makes a mind stand tall even after it has been shaken, and what keeps a soul burning even in the coldest darkness. Life was never designed to be gentle all the time. Every person listening knows this in their own way. There are days when the weight of bills feels heavier than your shoulders can bear, nights when silence in a room feels louder than 1,000 voices, moments when grief steals the colors from your world, and failures that make you doubt whether you have the strength to try again. Resilience is not denying those storms exist. Resilience is the mysterious ability to walk through the storm, drenched and bruised, and still whisper, "I will rise." Every human being has been broken at some point. A child losing their innocence to pain too early, a teenager feeling the crushing pressure of fitting in, an adult carrying the unseen burden of responsibilities, or an elder facing the reality of time passing faster than expected. The common thread in all these stories is struggle, but there is another thread available to those who choose it: resilience. The same fire that destroys also purifies. The same storm that bends the tree also strengthens its roots. Resilience is the quiet alchemy that turns suffering into strength. Psychologists call it post-traumatic growth, the strange paradox where people do not just survive hardship, but often come out wiser, deeper, and stronger because of it. Think of a soldier who has faced the battlefield and returns not only scarred, but more compassionate, more aware of the value of life. Think of a mother who lost her job and, through the ashes of uncertainty, discovered a talent she never knew she had. Think of a patient who endured the fight with illness and learned to savor every sunrise as a miracle. These are not just stories of survival, they are stories of resilience reshaping lives. C.S. Lewis himself was no stranger to pain. He lost his mother as a child, fought in a brutal war, and endured the ache of grief that came from losing his wife. Yet through every wound, he produced wisdom that still heals millions today. His writings were not born from comfort, they were forged in the fire of resilience. That is the gift hidden inside pain. If you allow it, suffering becomes the classroom where resilience is taught, and resilience becomes the tool that lifts you from ashes to meaning. Life will test you not once, but many times. Sometimes the test is sudden, like a phone call that changes your world in a moment. Other times it is slow and draining, like years of working hard with little reward, or a relationship that eats away at you piece by piece. Resilience does not promise that these tests will disappear. It promises that you can endure them without being destroyed. It is not about pretending the fire does not burn. It is about choosing to walk through it knowing the flame can forge you. The science of resilience shows that people who develop it not only cope better, but also live longer, healthier lives. Stress in itself is not the killer. It is the inability to recover from stress that eats away at the body and mind. When resilience is present, the body adapts, the brain rewires, the immune system strengthens. When resilience is absent, even small challenges feel like mountains. Training resilience is not just emotional, it is biological. Every time you choose to rise after falling, your brain records the pattern. It begins to believe that no matter what comes, you can rise again. This belief is not arrogance, it is survival faith. There are countless stories of resilience shaping destinies. Think of Abraham Lincoln, who faced repeated failures in business and politics, suffered personal tragedies, yet rose to become one of history's most respected leaders. Think of Maya Angelou, who endured trauma and silence in her childhood, but transformed her voice into poetry that inspired generations. Think of Thomas Edison, who was told he was too slow, who failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb, and who once said he had not failed but found 10,000 ways that did not work. These stories are not distant tales. They are proof that resilience is not reserved for the chosen few. It is available to every heart that refuses to surrender. Resilience is not about being unbreakable. It is about being unshakable in spirit. A resilient person still cries, still doubts, still feels pain, but they do not let those feelings define their end. They bend but do not break. They stumble but do not stay down. They mourn but also rise to dance again. To be resilient is to accept that scars may never fade, but also to believe that scars are not signs of weakness. They are proof you survived. There is also a spiritual depth to resilience. Faith tells us that suffering is not wasted, that pain can be redeemed, that struggles are not punishments but preparation. A seed must crack before it becomes a tree. A diamond is formed only under pressure. A butterfly emerges only after wrestling in its cocoon. In the same way, your struggles are shaping you into something greater than you were before. Every tear is watering the soil of your destiny. Every trial is carving wisdom into your soul. Every setback is building muscles unseen by the eye. Faith declares that resilience is not just human grit, it is divine strength flowing through fragile humanity. For the young person listening, resilience may mean learning to stand after rejection. It may mean enduring the loneliness that comes when you choose the right path, while everyone else chooses the easy one. For the adult, resilience may mean carrying responsibilities that feel unbearable and still choosing not to give up. For the elder, resilience may mean facing the frailty of the body and still finding purpose in mentoring, in loving, in inspiring. Every season of life has its storms, and every storm is calling you to resilience. Sometimes resilience looks small. It is waking up and choosing to try again after yesterday's failure. It is showing kindness when the world shows cruelty. It is holding on to faith when doubt feels louder. It is choosing to smile at your child even when your own heart is heavy. These small acts are not small in truth, they are building blocks of resilience. Over time, they create a fortress inside you that nothing can shatter. What makes resilience so powerful is that it transforms not just you, but also those around you. A resilient parent raises children who believe they too can endure. A resilient leader builds teams that do not collapse under pressure. A resilient friend inspires others to keep going when they feel like quitting. Your resilience is not private. It becomes a torch in the darkness for others who are lost. Resilience is a decision. Life does not choose it for you. You choose it in every moment of breaking and rebuilding. You choose it when you decide that failure is not your final chapter. You choose it when you declare that pain will not turn your heart bitter. You choose it when you whisper to yourself in the middle of the night, "This is not where my story ends." You may feel weak, but resilience is not about feeling strong. It is about refusing to surrender even when you feel weak. That refusal is strength in its purest form. If you want to win in life, learn resilience not as a reaction, but as a lifestyle. Expect storms, but also expect to rise. Accept wounds, but also accept healing. Recognize that life is not trying to destroy you, it is trying to shape you. Resilience is the language of the soul that says, I will not be defeated. And when you train yourself to speak that language, every loss becomes a lesson, every setback becomes a stepping stone, and every trial becomes a testimony that your spirit cannot be broken. Time is the most valuable resource we are given, yet it is the one we waste most carelessly. You can lose money and earn it back. You can lose opportunities and sometimes recover them. You can lose possessions and replace them. But when time leaves, it never returns. It slips quietly, second by second, like sand through an open hand, and by the time you notice how much is gone, you are left wondering how it disappeared so quickly. To protect your time like treasure is to recognize that your life is not made up of years, but of moments, and the way you spend them will shape not only what you achieve, but who you become. Every day you wake up, you are given 24 hours, the same gift handed to every person alive. Kings and beggars, rich and poor, young and old, all receive the same number of hours. What separates people is not how much time they receive, but how they choose to spend it. A teenager who wastes hours scrolling endlessly on a phone, and an elder who invests hours in passing wisdom to the next generation both hold the same currency, but one spends it in waste while the other invests it in legacy. The clock is mercilessly fair. It gives equally and takes equally, and it never pauses to wait for anyone. Think about the moments that slip away unnoticed. The conversations cut short because of distraction, the opportunities missed because procrastination whispered tomorrow, the hours lost in bitterness or regret. Each of these moments may feel small, but added together, they form the story of a life. When people reach the end of their days, studies have shown that the greatest regret is not what they did, but what they wasted. They mourn the time they let pass without love, without purpose, without courage. They wish they had treasured the hours instead of throwing them away on things that never truly mattered. Protecting time does not mean rushing or living in fear that every second must be filled with frantic activity. It means living with awareness. It means asking yourself daily, is what I am doing right now shaping the life I want to live? Is it feeding my soul, strengthening my body, nurturing my relationships, building my purpose? If the answer is no, then time is slipping into a black hole of regret. To protect time is to guard it the way you would guard gold, because it is worth more than gold. Money can purchase comfort, but cannot purchase another hour of life. There is wisdom in seeing time not as something endless, but as something fragile. When you are young, time feels abundant, like a river flowing without end. You think you can waste it today and still have plenty tomorrow. But as years pass, the river feels shorter. The days feel faster. You look back and realize decades have moved behind you in what feels like a breath. Those who do not learn to value time while it is plentiful often mourn it when it grows scarce. But those who guard it from the beginning live without regret in the end. Faith speaks of time as a divine trust. Every moment is a gift from the Creator, an opportunity to love, to grow, to serve, to shine. Squandering it is not just a loss to yourself, but a neglect of the sacred responsibility you have been given. The scriptures remind us that life is like a vapor, here for a moment and then gone. That awareness is not meant to create fear, is meant to create urgency. You do not have forever to forgive someone you love, to chase the dream burning inside you, to heal the wounds you carry, to speak the truth you hold. The window of time is open today, but no one knows how long it will remain. Psychology reveals that how we manage our time directly impacts our mental health. People who use their hours wisely feel a greater sense of control, fulfillment, and peace. People who let time drift away in chaos feel overwhelmed, anxious, and often depressed. Procrastination may feel harmless in the moment, but it creates an undercurrent of guilt that erodes confidence. On the other hand, discipline with time builds pride, clarity, and resilience. The brain itself thrives when routines, goals, and priorities guide our days. Protecting time is not just about productivity, it is about protecting your inner peace. Think of the difference between someone who values time and someone who wastes it. One wakes up early, breathes in the morning air, spends the first hour in reflection or prayer, and sets the tone for a purposeful day. The other wakes up late, rushes, feels stressed, and spends a day reacting instead of directing. Both had the same 24 hours. One protected it, one surrendered it. Over time, these daily choices create entirely different lives. Protecting time also means protecting it from people who do not value it. There will always be those who demand your hours for gossip, for drama, for negativity, for things that drain your energy without giving back. If you do not guard your time, others will spend it for you, and you will be left with nothing but exhaustion. Loving people does not mean giving away every second to their demands. True love sometimes means saying no, so you can say yes to what matters most. History is filled with men and women who understood the weight of time. They rose before the sun to write, to study, to practice, to pray. They treated each day as a stepping stone towards something greater. They did not waste years waiting for the perfect moment. They acted in the imperfect moment. And because of that, their lives carried impact long after their own hours were over. Greatness is never built in a single day. It is built in thousands of protected moments, guarded fiercely and invested wisely. There is also beauty in knowing that time well spent is not always about achievement, is not always about climbing ladders or building empires. Sometimes the most valuable use of time is sitting with a friend in need, holding the hand of someone who is hurting, laughing with your children, reading a book that nourishes your mind, walking in nature to renew your soul. To protect your time is to choose intentionally, to refuse to let it vanish into meaningless distractions when it could be feeding the deepest parts of you. When you begin to protect your time, life feels different. You stop saying someday and start saying today. You stop waiting for the perfect season and start acting in this one. You stop letting hours disappear without notice and start living them with awareness. Suddenly, every sunrise feels like an opportunity. Every conversation feels like an investment. Every decision feels like part of a bigger picture. This awareness transforms ordinary days into extraordinary ones, not because they look different from the outside, but because they are lived with purpose on the inside. If you are young, the way you treat your time now will set the direction of your entire future. The hours you invest in learning, in discipline, in courage, in building good habits will pay dividends for decades. If you are in the middle of life, protecting your time means refusing to let busyness rob you of meaning. It means prioritizing relationships, health, and purpose over endless distractions. If you are older, protecting your time means pouring your wisdom into others, creating memories, and leaving behind a legacy that outlives you. At every stage, time is precious, and the way you spend it shapes not only your days, but also the lives of those around you. To protect time is to respect life itself, is to recognize that every second is a seed. Some seeds grow into regret, others into joy. The harvest you reap depends on what you plant with your hours. Guard them as you would guard the rarest treasure, because they are rarer than gold, rarer than diamonds, rarer than anything this world can offer. Once spent, they are gone forever, leaving only the memory of how they were used. If you desire to win in life, do not just chase opportunities, protect the hours that create them. Do not just dream of success, guard the time that builds it. Do not just hope for happiness. Invest your moments in the people and purposes that create it. Your time is your life, and the way you treasure it will determine the story you leave behind. There is a powerful truth that often goes unnoticed until we pause and reflect on our lives. The people around us shape the direction of our steps more than we like to admit. The voices we allow into our circle become the background music of our thoughts. The energy we welcome into our company slowly molds our character, our decisions, and even our destiny. Surrounding yourself with truthful companions is not just a matter of preference. It is a matter of survival, a matter of wisdom, a matter of becoming who you were created to be. Think for a moment about how friendships begin. Sometimes they start with a shared laugh, sometimes through a shared struggle, sometimes by pure chance. But over time, those companions are no longer just people who share space with you. They become mirrors, reflecting back the person you are and the person you are becoming. If those mirrors distort the truth, if they cloud your vision with lies, flattery, or negativity, you will begin to lose sight of yourself. But if those mirrors are truthful, grounded, and sincere, you will find clarity, growth, and strength in their reflection. Life is full of moments when we cannot see clearly on our own. There are times when ambition blinds us, when pain distorts us, when fear paralyzes us. In those moments, truthful companions become a compass, pointing us back toward the right path when our own sense of direction falters. They are the ones who speak with courage even when it hurts, who tell you when you are drifting, who remind you of your values when the noise of the world tempts you to forget. Truthful companions are not the ones who always agree with you. They are not the ones who flatter you into comfort. They are not the ones who cheer you into destruction. They are the ones who love you enough to be honest. They see your potential and refuse to let you settle for less. They see your flaws and call you out with kindness. They see your dreams and remind you to keep fighting when you feel like giving up. Their truth is not harshness for the sake of criticism, it is medicine for the sake of healing. Psychology confirms this timeless wisdom. Research has shown that people unconsciously adapt to the habits, behaviors, and attitudes of those closest to them. If you spend your days with people who complain constantly, negativity will seep into your own thoughts. If you surround yourself with people who are lazy and unmotivated, your own drive begins to weaken. But if your companions are disciplined, hopeful, and truthful, you rise to meet their energy. This is not just theory, it is the wiring of the human brain. We are social beings designed to mirror what we see and hear. To choose truthful companions is to choose a life of growth, accountability, and authenticity. Faith also speaks with great clarity on this matter. Scriptures remind us that bad company corrupts good character. Wisdom from the ages warns us that walking with the wise makes one wise, but walking with the foolish brings harm. The divine perspective shows us that companionship is not a light matter, it is a covenant of influence. Who walks with you will influence where you walk. Who speaks into your life will influence how you listen to your soul. Who shares your table will influence the kind of bread you eat, not only physically but spiritually and emotionally. Think of the people you have admired throughout history. Great leaders, thinkers, inventors, prophets, and reformers were rarely isolated figures. They often surrounded themselves with others who sharpened them, challenged them, and grounded them. Iron sharpens iron, and in the same way, a truthful friend sharpens the soul. When Martin Luther King Jr. faced doubts, he had companions who reminded him of the cause. When Abraham Lincoln carried the weight of the Civil War, he sought counsel from those who were unafraid to speak truth. Even the strongest hearts need voices around them that will echo wisdom when their own strength grows faint. There is something deeply human about craving belonging, but belonging without truth is dangerous. Some people settle for companionship at any cost, even if it means surrounding themselves with people who lie, betray, or lead them into darkness. Loneliness whispers that any company is better than no company, but that is not true. Being alone with integrity is safer than being surrounded by companions who deceive you. The wrong voices will drown out your own, and you will find yourself walking a path that is not yours. True companionship is not about filling silence. It is about filling life with depth, trust, and truth. Truthful companions are rare, and perhaps that is why they are so valuable. You may find dozens who will laugh with you in good times, but only a handful who will weep with you in hard times. You may find many who will nod when you make poor decisions, but only a few who will risk your anger to tell you the truth. Treasure those few. Hold on to them like precious gems because their worth is beyond measure. Sometimes, finding truthful companions requires you to become one yourself. People who live in lies attract others who live in lies. People who live in truth attract others who live in truth. If you desire friends who will speak with honesty, you must be willing to speak with honesty. If you want companions who will not betray you, you must be willing to live with integrity. Friendship is often a reflection of what you give as much as what you receive. Think about the people in your life right now. Do they build you up or tear you down? Do they encourage your growth or feed your weaknesses? Do they bring clarity or confusion? Do they stand by you in storms or disappear at the first sign of rain? Your answers to those questions reveal more than you realize. Life is too short to spend in circles that drain you. Protecting your circle is protecting your future. At the same time, truthful companionship does not mean perfection. Even the best friends will fail, stumble, or misunderstand you at times. The mark of a truthful companion is not flawless behavior, but sincere intent. They may not always say the right thing, but you know their heart is for you. They may not always agree with you, but you know their disagreement is rooted in care. They may not always walk beside you perfectly, but you know they will return if they fall behind. Their truth is not about never failing, it is about never abandoning the bond of honesty. There is a deep joy that comes when you find companions like this. Life feels lighter because you do not carry burdens alone. Dreams feel closer because you have others reminding you they are possible. Hardships feel bearable because you have shoulders to lean on. Victories feel sweeter because you have others to celebrate with. The presence of truthful companions turns an ordinary life into an extraordinary journey. There is also a warning hidden here. Not every companion deserves a seat at the table of your heart. Some may smile while they quietly envy. Some may clap while secretly plotting. Some may whisper kindness while feeding lies. Truthful companions reveal themselves not in words but in consistency, in loyalty, in actions over time. Do not rush to call someone a friend until they have walked with you through storms, until they have shown that their words align with their actions, until they have proven they are safe keepers of your trust. Protecting your circle of companions is like tending a garden. You must nurture what is good, pull out what is harmful, and give attention to what truly grows. Just as weeds can choke out the life of healthy plants, false companions can choke out the life of your soul. But when you surround yourself with truthful companions, your life blossoms. You grow stronger, wiser, more resilient. You become more yourself because you are reminded daily of who you are at your core. Truthful companionship is a gift, but it is also a choice. It requires discernment, courage, and patience. It requires listening not only to what people say, but to how they live. It requires trusting your spirit when it senses something is wrong, even if your heart longs to hold on. It requires letting go of those who do not honor truth, even if the letting go hurts. The reward, though, is worth the sacrifice, a life surrounded by people who call out your best, challenge your worst, and walk with you in truth until the end. If you want to win in life, do not measure your wealth only by money, possessions, or achievements. Measure it also by the quality of the companions at your side. One truthful friend is worth more than 1,000 shallow acquaintances. One voice of honesty is worth more than a chorus of empty flattery. One soul that speaks truth into your heart is worth more than crowds that cheer you into destruction. Surround yourself with truthful companions, and you will find that no storm is too strong, no night too dark, and no journey too long. There is a force inside every human being that often lies hidden until life pushes them to their edge. That force is perseverance, the quiet but unbreakable will to keep going when everything in you wants to give up. Perseverance is not about talent, not about luck, not about the applause of others. It is about refusing to stop, refusing to surrender, refusing to let pain write the ending of your story. If you want to win in life, mastering perseverance is the single greatest art you must learn, because dreams collapse without it, relationships fail without it, and the soul withers without it. The truth is, every great victory looks impossible in the middle. Every mountain feels too high when you are only halfway up and your muscles burn with exhaustion. Every breakthrough looks far away when the night stretches long and the dawn is nowhere in sight. But those who persevere understand something deeper. They understand that endurance itself is shaping them into the kind of person who can carry the victory. The climb is not separate from the reward. The climb is what prepares you for the reward. Think about the stories we admire most. We read about inventors who faced hundreds of failures before one success changed the world. We hear about athletes who trained in silence for years, enduring injuries, setbacks, and doubt, only to rise at the moment of competition and inspire millions. We listen to testimonies of people who came from nothing, who faced rejection, poverty, or ridicule, yet pressed forward until their perseverance became their power. What makes these stories unforgettable is not that they were easy, but that they were nearly impossible, and still they endured. Psychology teaches us that perseverance rewires the mind. When you push through difficulty, your brain builds new pathways of resilience. Each time you refuse to quit, you strengthen the belief that you are capable of more than you thought. Quitting, on the other hand, feeds weakness. Every time you surrender too early, you confirm to yourself that obstacles define your limits. Perseverance is training not just of the body but of the brain, building an identity that refuses to be broken. Faith reminds us that perseverance is divine work. Scriptures speak of running the race with endurance, of not growing weary in doing good, of trusting that harvest comes to those who do not give up. Perseverance is not just gritting your teeth, it is aligning with the eternal truth that no suffering is wasted, no struggle is meaningless, no tear falls without purpose. The pain you endure can become the soil where your greatest blessings grow if you refuse to walk away too soon. Perseverance is often misunderstood. People think it is about never feeling tired, never doubting, never crying. That is not true. Perseverance is not the absence of weakness. It is the decision to move forward in the presence of weakness. It is standing back up after failure. It is taking one more step when your legs shake. It is holding on to hope when your heart feels empty. It is saying, "This storm will not break me. This pain will not own me. This failure will not define me." Perseverance is ordinary people doing extraordinary things because they chose not to stop. There is a secret about perseverance that many miss. It does not only carry you toward your dreams, it transforms you into someone worthy of them. If success came easily, it would not shape your character. If everything you wanted appeared instantly, it would not teach you patience, discipline, or strength. Perseverance chisels away the weakness inside you, like a sculptor shaping stone into beauty. Every hardship endured is carving resilience into your soul, teaching you lessons comfort never could. You may not see it in the moment, but one day you will look back and realize the struggle made you stronger than the victory itself. History gives us countless examples of perseverance changing the course of humanity. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb, but he said he did not fail. He simply discovered thousands of ways that did not work. Nelson Mandela endured 27 years in prison, yet walked out with forgiveness in his heart and became a leader who changed a nation. Helen Keller, blind and deaf from childhood, persevered to become a writer and activist who inspired millions. These lives remind us that perseverance is not reserved for the lucky or the gifted. It is available to anyone willing to endure. In everyday life, perseverance may not look grand. It may look like a mother waking up early each day to provide for her children despite exhaustion. It may look like a student studying late into the night, refusing to let setbacks stop their dream of a better future. It may look like a person battling illness, yet choosing to smile, choosing to fight, choosing to believe there is still beauty to live for. Perseverance is not always loud. It is often quiet, unseen, uncelebrated, but it is no less powerful. There will be times when perseverance feels like the heaviest burden you have ever carried. You will question whether it is worth it. You will wonder if you are strong enough. You will be tempted to believe the lie that quitting will ease the pain. But quitting only creates new pain, the pain of regret, the pain of wondering what might have been, the pain of abandoning your own potential. Endurance carries pain too, but it carries a reward, a story, a victory that regret can never give. To master the art of perseverance, you must learn to see obstacles not as walls, but as teachers. Each setback is a lesson. Each failure is feedback. Each delay is preparation. When you see life this way, challenges no longer paralyze you. They become stepping stones, each one carrying you closer to the person you are meant to be. The art of perseverance is not blind stubbornness. It is enlightened resilience, knowing that the road may be long, but every step matters. There is a rhythm to perseverance. It is not running endlessly without rest. It is knowing when to pause, when to breathe, when to renew your strength, and then choosing to rise again. Even the strongest warriors rest. Even the mightiest trees bend in the wind, but they do not break. Perseverance is about flexibility as much as strength. It is bending without surrendering, pausing without quitting, stumbling without staying down. In your darkest nights, perseverance may be the only light you have left. It whispers when everything else is silent. It says, "Keep moving." It says, "There is more ahead than what you see now." It says, "Do not stop here. Your story is not finished." That whisper has carried millions through wars, disasters, heartbreaks, and losses. It has been the difference between those who rise again and those who remain in ashes. Mastering perseverance requires patience with yourself. You will not always endure perfectly. There will be days you feel strong and days you collapse. There will be victories that lift you high and failures that knock you down. Perseverance is not perfection. It is the willingness to keep returning to the fight. It is forgiving yourself when you stumble and refusing to let that stumble turn into surrender. It is showing up again and again, even when you are bruised. Those who master perseverance carry a fire in their spirit that cannot be extinguished. They know storms will come, but storms pass. They know failure will sting, but failure is not the end. They know the road is long, but every step is worth it. They walk with a quiet confidence, not because the journey is easy, but because they know they will not stop until they reach the end. That kind of spirit changes lives, shapes legacies, and leaves footprints of courage for others to follow. If you want to see the power of perseverance, look at nature. Rivers carve through rock, not because they are strong, but because they keep flowing. Seeds push through soil to reach the sun, though the earth above them is heavy. Seasons change, storms rage, yet life continues to rise again. Nature itself is a testimony that perseverance is woven into creation, and when you align with it, you align with the very rhythm of life. Mastering perseverance is not only about personal success, it is about becoming a source of hope for others. When people watch you endure, they find courage to endure their own battles. Your perseverance becomes a beacon, reminding them that strength is possible, that giving up is not the only option. The fire you carry spreads, lighting the way for those still trapped in darkness. Perseverance is contagious, and your endurance may save someone else's dream. To win in life, you must accept that hardship is not the enemy. Quitting is the enemy. Pain is not the end. Surrender is the end. Struggle is not failure. Refusal to rise is failure. Master the art of perseverance, and you will discover that no obstacle is final, no defeat is permanent, no dream is unreachable. Life will test you, but you will not be defined by the test. You will be defined by your decision to keep going. The art of perseverance is a lifelong journey. It will ask everything from you, but it will give back more than you can imagine. It will demand patience, discipline, faith, and courage, but it will reward you with strength, growth, victory, and peace. When your story is told, let it be said not that you never fell, but that you never stayed down. Let it be said that when the storms came, you endured. Let it be said that when the nights grew long, you kept moving toward the dawn. Let it be said that your perseverance turned ordinary days into an extraordinary legacy. The clock of life is ticking, and each heartbeat is a reminder that your chance to live with purpose is now, not someday. The rules you have heard are not theories for the bookshelf or lofty words meant only to inspire for a moment. They are living truths, tested by history, validated by science, rooted in faith, and etched into the fabric of every soul that has ever longed to rise above mediocrity. Integrity, discipline, courage, clarity, truthful companionship, and perseverance are not just steps to success. They are the pillars that separate lives that glow with meaning from lives that fade into regret. There will come a day when you stand at the edge of your own journey and look back at the path behind you. That moment will either fill you with pride or pierce you with sorrow. Fear whispers that you might waste your time, betray your values, or abandon your calling, but wisdom speaks louder when you choose to listen. Wisdom says you were never created to simply exist. You were created to become, to overcome, to leave a mark that time cannot erase. Do not wait for a perfect season, because perfection is an illusion. Do not let fear dictate your choices, because fear only shrinks the horizon. Do not surround yourself with those who weaken you, because their voices will become your cage. Do not give your hours away carelessly, because they are your greatest wealth. Do not abandon the race when your legs burn, because the finish line is often closer than it feels. Every great soul who ever won in life was once just like you, flawed, fragile, uncertain, tempted to quit. The difference was not that they never stumbled, but that they chose to rise again. And the same choice is standing before you now. This is the moment where destiny bends toward your decision. Will you live as a prisoner to ease, or will you live as a warrior of perseverance? Will you allow distraction to rob your treasure, or will you guard your time like gold? Will you trade the truth of your soul for the cheap applause of the crowd, or will you walk in integrity even if the path feels lonely? The story of your life is being written in this very hour, and the ink is your actions. You can choose a story that echoes with strength, with faith, with courage, with light. Or you can choose one that dies in silence, forgotten because it never dared to rise. The choice is yours, and has always been yours. So step forward with fire in your heart and wisdom in your soul. The world does not need another copy. It needs the original masterpiece hidden inside you. Win in life not by chance, but by choice. Win in life not by waiting, but by rising. Win in life not by chasing what fades, but by building what lasts. And when history remembers your name, let it be spoken with reverence as one who lived fully, loved deeply, fought bravely, and refused to quit until the last breath was drawn.